back, 170 of you and growing. Thank you for joining us again. This is a personal hero of mine. I'm going to introduce Brian in a moment, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. It's an amazing story, amazing life, what he is accomplishing through franchising. Brian Scudamore, founder, CEO, O2E Brands. It's a banner company, a banner organization. They founded 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Wow One Day Painting, and Shack Shine. Brian's a serial entrepreneur, no doubt. He's known for pioneering the professional junk hauling industry with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They have absolutely created an industry. I was looking at Franchise Consultant magazine this month. Everybody's got theirs in the mail, and there were 3 junk removal companies in the magazine, all led from what he's accomplished through 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Since conquering that market, he's gone on to apply the O2E ordinary to exceptional O2E formula to the painting and the home detailing industry with Wow One Day Painting and Shack Shine. Currently, he's at the helm of a burgeoning home services empire. Each brand has franchise locations in every major metro in North America and even in Australia. He's respected across the industry as a leader, a speaker, well known in the business community for his belief in people and his passion for innovation. His companies have made celebrated appearances on ABC's Nightline, Good Morning America, Dr. Phil, CNN, The Today Show, Oprah, and CNBC. And I think we'll hear about another one in a moment. Brian's story has been featured in Fortune Magazine, New York Times, Huffington Post, Wall Street Journal. He continues to regularly write articles there in many noteworthy publications. And Brian is a strong believer in ongoing personal and professional development. We're going to learn about that today as well. He's attended programs offered by MIT, just to name a few. And if he's not launching a new brand, he's out there coming up with a new big idea. Then he's biking, he's hanging out with his family. Our friend Brian Scudamore lives in Vancouver, British Columbia. Brian, welcome to IFPG's virtual franchise summit.
Hey, Red. Great to be here. Thanks for the long bio. I appreciate it. But one thing I will say, and I always feel very awkward and uncomfortable when people read a big bio and Brian, and all I've done, because I want to say it's very little that I've done. I planted a seed 33 years ago of a business idea that was to fund my college education. And ultimately I dropped out to pursue business full time, but we've built it with an incredible team of hundreds and hundreds of people and franchise owners. So I can't take credit for much there. You talk about Oprah or we got on Ellen. I didn't make it happen. Our people made it happen, but special brand, special people. And I'm wearing the It's All About People hat today because that's what it's all about. And privileged and honored to be here with a group of the best franchise sales professionals in the world. And you've built something pretty special, Red. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, as have you. So let's start with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. You created that back in 1989. What up? High school grad there. Give us your founder story. Where'd you come up with the idea? How did it transpire?
Well, I'm a very ADD person. I see squirrels running across my desk all the time. I've always got shiny, bright things I'm looking at. And some of you might be able to relate, but it's been, 33 years of the so-called overnight success story. And it started back in a McDonald's drive-thru. I was one course short of graduating from high school because I couldn't get high school done and checked off. And I thought, all my friends are going to college and I got to find a way. My parents wouldn't give me any money for college. I had to find my own job to fund that education. I talked my way in to my first college and I had to find a way to pay for it. I was in a McDonald's drive-thru of all places, beat up old pickup truck, plywood side panels built up on the box, and it said Mark's Hauling on the side. And I looked at that truck and I'm like, that is my ticket. It was a tight job market. So I created my own. And 2 weeks later, I was out there with a beat up old pickup truck, $700 spent on that Ford F-150 and started a business called the Rubbish Boys. Now, let's be clear. It was just me at the time. I had a vision for something bigger. There were no boys. It was just me, but it was what funded my college education. And then after 3 years with 1 year left, I sat down with my dad, who's a liver transplant surgeon. He's done more college and more schooling than anyone I've ever met, literally. And I sat down, I said, I got some good news. I'm dropping out of school. And he said, how is that good news? And I said, I've got this business opportunity that's working. I'm going to take it national. I'm going to build it up and have some fun with it. And I'm going to go buy a second truck. And he thought I was crazy. I said, school will not be a problem for me to go back to if I ever choose, but this business opportunity might not last. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Rest is history. 14 schools from kindergarten to college. And the only diploma I have, not even trying to be funny, this is true, kindergarten. Got a kindergarten diploma. That's it. I'm learning by surrounding myself with amazing people and learning on the streets, so to speak. We're having so much fun.
To put in perspective, Brian, how big is Got Junk? How many franchise units? How many countries? How many? Give us some idea.
Yeah, we had a peak of 329 franchises. We're actually down. This sounds terrible, but it's actually a really good thing. We're down to about 140 franchises because the stronger, more ambitious ones bought out the ones that didn't see the same vision that we saw for building something. But our footprint is the same and our revenue is way, way up. So franchising in 1999 was when the first one started. And that was Paul Guy in Toronto, who worked with me in Vancouver. Took me 8 years to get to $1 million in revenue. He did it in his first full calendar year. And it was because we had systems and processes. So how much in revenue we'll do 600 million in revenue this year. Across all of O2E brands, we'll do 700 million. So it's sometimes I just sit back and when I talk those numbers, it took 8 years to get to that first million, and now we'll do 1 million in a morning. Sometimes it's through the people that we've got that are really cranking out some great growth.
Oh my gosh, 700 million, guys, junk removal, only in America, quote unquote, only in North America. Beautiful. Could that occur? Now it's gone into Australia. Are you in Europe too?
We're not. And in fact, bringing in what I call the two in the box leadership model, Eric Church, who's been with us 10 years, he just celebrated his 10-year anniversary. He's our president of O2E Brands. And one of the things he got me to realize is, Brian, put the growth ego aside, go deep versus going wide. We had a vision of being in Europe, but we gave up on that for the right reason. We could be something much bigger, closer to home. And let's have 3 brands, 4 or 5 one day, building the home services empire that we can, focused on a market much closer to us, one language. It's a lot more simplistic to keep it focused than trying to spread ourselves too thin. And even Australia, which we're in today, we're only there with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We don't have plans to launch our other brands there because there's just way too much potential close to home.
And I didn't plan this, but you got the cool hat and cool shades. I just throw on the goat hat.
There you go.
You got some shades that we're on. I don't know. Those are a little too cool. So you tell us, I heard you actually put the name 1-800-GOT-JUNK on your wall, maybe? I mean, you had it, you had invested in this name before you had the name. How did that occur?
So we were the Rubbish Boys, 738 Junk. And I learned a lot about branding in the first 8 years. Some people would call us 738 Junk, which was our phone number, and some would call us the Rubbish Boys. And as we started to go into the United States, I tested the Seattle market, and rubbish is more of a Canadian British term, and it wasn't used. So we had to rebrand, and we wanted one name, one phone number. So a play on the Got Milk campaign that ran in the 90s, we said 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And the light bulb went off. We got so stoked in the office about getting this phone number. Of course, I pick up the phone and it says the number's not available in your area. So 1-888-GOT-JUNK is available, and the guy wanted 100 grand for it. I mean, I couldn't have afforded 10 grand at that point. We were small. But I said, you know what? I can see this number. This is a game changer. We have to make this happen. I made phone call after phone call to try and figure out who owned this phone number. Department of Transportation in Idaho, owned by the government. How am I going to get that number? That's where my dream, after something like 58 phone calls, started to die. But my 59th phone call was to the telephone room. I called the government and I said, do you guys have a phone room? They said, yeah, let me put you through to Michael. And after 3 calls to Michael, Michael's like, dude, I don't know why you want this phone number. We use it, but not that much. It sounds like it's more important to you than it is to me. And if you want it, it's yours. And we filled out the AT&T forms. We got the phone number. But one of the most interesting parts is when I called Michael 2 days later to thank him, the paperwork went through. He was no longer with the business. No idea if that was his parting gift to us. But the other part that I find it's a way we do things that's unique and non-conventional is you talked about investing before we get the phone number. We put $2,000 into hiring a design firm to design our logo exactly as it is today. It has not changed. We did not have the phone number, but I said, we're going to get that phone number. And part of it was seeing and believing the look and feel and the magic behind the brand.
Love the vision. It's the law of attraction. Now, I'll take the GOAT hat off. GOAT is IFPG, not me, but I have, Brian, 2006. Mm-hmm. You and me, baby, right there at IFA 2006, I believe it was. Not the greatest camera phone back in the day, but you were kind enough to grace this little franchisor punk, and I appreciate it. It's on my wall here in the office.
That's awesome.
And then in 2009, you were kind enough to allow me to fly myself and my COO from Dallas, Texas, up to Vancouver and gave us a tour. This is you and me in 2009, right before. Gosh. Well, it's been a while. Was that 13 years ago? Both of us got more gray, that's for sure.
Long time. Yeah.
Brother. All right. So you have conquered the world through Got Junk. How did the other brands come about? Let's start with Wow One Day Painting.
Mm-hmm. First of all, I wouldn't say conquered the world. I mean, we could easily be $1 billion plus business with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So we're gunning towards that. And it's always about, we never get bored because there's always opportunity, and it just keeps getting bigger, better people. We continue to have fun. How did the other brands come to play? So Wow One Day, I was looking for someone to paint my home, and I go onto Facebook and send out a message. I get 3 referrals from friends. The first 2 were exactly what I expected. They showed up late, cigarettes smoking at the door. They come in, and I expected them to sort of Murphy Brown and move in the house and take a few weeks to paint the home. The third guy shows up, Jim Bodden. And Jim said, listen, here's the deal. Our quality is as good as anyone else. We've done this for 22 years. Our pricing is right at market. But the kicker, and it got me excited, and I didn't believe him at first, but wanted to put him to the test. He said, when we paint your home, we agree on painting day, it'll be done that day. I said, how's that even possible? And he wouldn't tell me his secret, which I learned later. It wasn't much of a secret. Everyone knows that you can paint one person can paint 1 room in a day. 2 people can paint a big room in a day. It's a numbers game. Planned production, put the right number of people in each room, and you pull it off in a day. So I come home at the end of painting day, 6:30 p.m. I walked in. The first word of my mouth was, wow, this was a game changer. Floor to ceilings, molding, trim, immaculate. 3 coats needed in the kitchen to hide the dark color. I was blown away. So I said to Jim, have you ever looked at franchising? He said, yes, I've tried. It doesn't work. I said, I think I can help you make it work. Let's grab a beer. And we made magic. And today, Adam is awarding incredible people who are building great businesses and great freedom and lifestyle, achieving their goals, the work-life balance that they're starting to get now as they're building these empires, spending time at their cottage and on the lake and living their own dreams. So it was a fun business to get into, but it wasn't easy. And the people that were the biggest naysayers and still are today in this business are painters. They say, and they'll even say it on the internet, you can't paint a home in a day. Well, the sign over my right shoulder, Walt Disney's quote, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. We've done it. We do it every day. And it's, I think what I love so much about that business is it's been a game changer. We're not just building an ordinary brand. We were first to market in junk removal, creating that industry in a professionalized way. We weren't first in the painting market, but we're first in the one-day painting market. And that's been exceptional.
Absolutely. And it's about the consumer. So often we as consultants and Fran Dev reps forget the consumer, and you've started with the consumer in mind. The number one thing they're most interested in, because it's not hard to paint at a professional level, get it done fast and get out of my way.
Yeah, we don't look for people that want to paint. We don't look for technicians. We want someone to come in and go, I want to build an empire. I want to change lives. I want to bring in future owners who can go run their own franchise one day. And so this is a business building empire business, in the same way that Paul Guy did $1 million in revenue in his first full calendar month or calendar year in 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Today's doing over 100 million in revenue. We want those type of pioneers that can come in and say, one franchise, two, build it, grow it. And that's the magic. Well, now, you also read, I know you said something about it's all about the customer. So for us, it's about a happy experience.
Okay.
And it's about making it easy for our customers. Someone put in the chat, Jason Killo, and maybe I can tackle this question. I know you're facilitating, but I saw it and it caught my eye. What happened to You Move Me? Can I tell that story real quick?
Do it.
So we had 4 brands. And I always say that the brands are like kids. I've got 3 kids. They're all at different levels. You know, the young one is still figuring out who he is. The older one's off to college, that kind of thing. And the brands are the same way, until this analogy of we got rid of one, because I would never get rid of my kids on most days. But You Move Me was not a happy business. When we have someone we service with 1-800-GOT-JUNK, they're like, oh, the pile's gone. What a relief. When somebody has their walls painted and it's done in a day, they're like, wow, transformation. And when we do Shack Shine, someone's windows, gutters, we put Christmas lights on their house, they're blown away and they're left with a smile. With moving, as I'm sure everyone here has moved many times in their lives, it's stressful. It's one of the most stressful things you can ever do. No matter how great our truck team members were, our movers, they would do 5-star service. They would blow the customer away, but they didn't really blow the customer away and leave them with a happy experience, because at the end of the move, they're still going, I got to unpack, stuff's broken, stuff's lost. Moving is tough. Kids are upset, new neighborhood. It's just change. And so after 8 years of trying to make the business work and franchising, we learned a valuable lesson, WTF, willing to fail. That's a book, by the way, Dan. And we decided to get rid of the business and sell it to someone else that could maybe make it better. And the other piece of learning from that was we took 25 top franchise partners with 1-800-GOT-JUNK who were growing like crazy, and we awarded franchises with You Move Me. Worst thing we ever did. Dina Dwyer, a mentor of yours and mine, she told us, don't do it. And we said, well, I hear you, but I think we're still going to try it. We called her 8 years later to say, you were right, Dina, because what it did is it disfocused people from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They were now running 2 businesses, trying to figure out the new one. Disaster. So glad we're out. Happy businesses, happy people. That's the simple recipe. I mean, I wear this hat with great pride. I've got lots of hats looking up to my right there. This is one of my favorites because 5 years into the business, I fired my entire company of 11 people because I didn't have the right people. I didn't have smiley, happy people that saw the vision that I saw. And it was my fault as a leader. I told them, I'm sorry, I let you down, didn't find the right people, give you the love and support you needed, and made a change. And when we got those people out, I realized from that day on, it's all about people. Find the right people, treat them right. And that's the number one thing we look for in a franchise owner, is someone to find those right people and treat them right. And that's how we build amazing companies.
You know, I was scared to ask you that. Thank you for sharing. You fired all 11 of your staff early on. That is bold.
You know what? It was, they say one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. I had 9 that they weren't bad people. They weren't ambitious. They weren't motivated. This was really a job and not a great one. And then the 2 that were maybe salvageable, I didn't know if I had the leadership at the time at 25 years old to pull it off. So I sat everybody down in one room, and it was, you know, when they say it's lonely at the top, that was the loneliest moment. Take 11 people, most of them bigger than me, put them in one room and say, guys, I'm sorry, but this isn't working out, and starting again. It was tough, but most businesses would have failed. I had the tenacity to just persevere and get through it. And every single hire we brought on after was really working hard to find the right people and to make this much more than a job. And that's where the culture that we've built can be electric. I know you've been to our office and you've seen it, and by no means are we perfect. We've got lots of growth challenges and issues and things that come up, But I think at the end of the day, when people come together, they go, you know what? You guys really do care about your people, all of them.
Brad, do you still call it the Junction?
Still call it the Junction. I
Yeah.
know that we've got Wow One Day Painting and Shack Shine in there, but it's history. It's a special place. It's got energy, and we've just kept that little core name.
Now, I want to hear how Shack Shine started, but can I share how you and I met?
Please.
I'm not too proud to say, guys. So back in '98, I founded a pet service company, and in 2003, decided to franchise it. Well, I'm searching like any entrepreneur. I'm looking at all the leaders in the industry, who's doing what. And in '04, building a website. I told my web developer, I've looked at hundreds of franchisor websites. These got junk guys got the best one out there. Look at this process. Oh my gosh, it is sweet. It's clear, it's concise. They hide nothing, transparent. I love it. We want something like this. My web developer said, say no more. I'm on it. And a few months later, he had me a killer website. Well, about a year later, we're selling franchises. We're growing, we're thriving. And I get a call. I'm watching, by the way, I'm watching Brian on everything, reading every article, watching his interviews online, even back then. And I get a call from Brian Scudamore. I never met him. I never emailed him. I didn't connect with them on social media that didn't exist. And I get a call from Brian. I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't shut up. Brian, oh my gosh, I love it. I love this article. You did this, you did this. And all of a sudden I stopped and went, wait a minute. Why are you calling me? and Brian Scudamore, hero in franchising, he goes, Red, you're plagiarizing my website. I'm shocked. I'm embarrassed. I knew we had used him as a template, but I went back and my gosh, he was right. Boy, my web developer really followed my instructions a little too well and copied the verbiage, a lot of the verbiage on his website. Brian was very kind about it, forgiving. He said, you know, I understand. He said, take all the time you need to update the website, get it fixed. I just need it fixed within 24 hours. and so we followed his guidance, and he's been so kind ever since. So Brian, thank you for that. I appreciate all you do for the world and for franchising.
And while you say you were embarrassed, you know, I think part of the reason you and I hit it off and became friends was I appreciated that you admitted the WTF moment. And you said, listen, you know, here's what happened. You didn't try and make a bunch of excuses. You owned it. And I was like, awesome. When are you coming to Vancouver to visit? And I think it's great when people do that. So thank you.
I was walking through Vancouver, Brian. Thank you, by the way. I'm walking through the Junction and I look over and there is a sign that the lady that was your COO was from Starbucks. I mean, like she, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you recruit? This isn't in my topics to ask you, but that was just blew me away that a junk removal business could attract that level of caliber of individuals from a high-level president from Starbucks.
Yeah, she was an ex-US division head, president of a big, she had 30,000 people working below her, and amazing woman. And we've actually connected recently, and she did not work out in my business. We did not work out together. I attracted her to the business based on vision, got extremely excited about what we were going to build and do together. But what I realized is she'd never had experience with entrepreneurs. She had always worked in a big corporate structure. And while she was excited about our vision and thought she could do big things or we could do big things together, we actually almost bankrupted the company together. And we parted ways. And again, we spoke recently, and she's in the new book and all that sort of stuff, and a great woman who's gone on to be way more successful. But it reminded me that it's all about people, is finding the right person for you as a leader. Now, you and Dan probably have some magic, some two in the box type model, I'm guessing. I had to find my two in the box. I had to find Eric Church. And when I recruited Eric after my failure with the Starbucks woman, is I realized, and I pointed this out, and Eric didn't know this, he had always his entire life worked with entrepreneurs. And so he understood the quirkiness of entrepreneurs. I mean, we are a little bit crazy. I drink way too much coffee. I'm ADD. It's hard to keep me focused, but I do have some good ideas. And that's where Eric's like, yes, that's a great idea for right now. Brian, this other idea, let's park it. And so there is this two in the box. I'm the visionary, he's the implementer. And since he's come into the business, we've quintupled. And I couldn't have done it without him. And I think anyone who's on this Zoom call from our team would agree that none of us would be here if it wasn't for both of us. And that's been exciting.
Nice. All right. We're going to learn about a couple of books you've written that have blessed a lot of folks on this call. But beforehand, where does Shackshine come from?
Yeah, same. So first, I'll start by saying my wife does not let me call for services around the house anymore because we're already busy, and I've started a moving company. We know how that went from a bad moving experience. And then I started Shackshine the same way, not being able to find someone to do my gutters. And so I don't make calls anymore because she wants me a little more focused on just what we've got going. And so Shackshine was looking out for someone to do my gutters, found someone online. They wouldn't return my phone calls, found someone else. There was someone in our office who said, oh, I know a guy that's actually starting a gutter company. And so we brought him out. And the day of cleaning my gutters and windows, I walk outside and there's 6 people behind this van, Shackshine, really shiny. They're uniformed. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of people to do my place. The owner said, I asked him what was up. And he said, you know, we're here to make sure we get this one right because you own O2E Brands. And my vision is that O2E does a deal to acquire Shackshine so we can build and grow this because you understand the market. And that's what we ended up doing. We acquired that business. We actually rebranded the look and feel of the logo before we did the business. So similar to 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I said, I like the name. I don't care for the branding, the colors, the look and feel. We hired our designer to change it all up. And I presented it to the guy as the founder who we were going to do a deal with. And he fell in love with it. And he's just like, yeah, let's do this. And ultimately we bought him out and continue to grow the business. And we've got Jeremy on the call here somewhere from Shackshine, but Jeremy's been around since day one. Something he's phenomenal at is really, really picking amazing people. And the Shackshine brand has a unique culture and energy to it, in the same way that Wow One Day has its own unique special sauce. And finding people who really have that dream of business ownership, but didn't know where to start and realize that franchising might be their ticket. It's a proven recipe, as all of us know. I don't need to sell anyone here on franchising, of course, but Shackshine's it's grown very quickly, more quickly than 1-800-GOT-JUNK did in the early days.
Well, we heard how they're each different in their own unique way. What bonds them together? What are the similarities amongst the 3 brands?
So similarities, a high level of energy. So we had our kickoff in Vegas, our big annual franchise convention a couple of weeks ago, and we had a brand night. And for the first year ever, we decided to take 2 brands and put them in the same room. We put Shackshine and Wow One Day, and everyone in our brands always shows up branded with the gear. We had Wow One Day on one side, Shackshine on the other, an axe throwing venue. You know, great thing to do, by the way. Take your franchise partners, give them axes and a lot of alcohol and hope for the best. But what was fun is Shackshine and Wow One Day just wagered to have a competition. And the energy in that place, it was like they just won the Super Bowl when Wow One Day actually ended up winning the axe throwing contest. Yes, go Adam. And it was so great. So the thing that I think binds them together is this energy that we can take on the world. We're building happy businesses. We love when we see both Wow One Day and Shackshine, where they will take some of their painters, their Shackshiners, and they'll invest with them in a new opportunity. And so it's not uncommon to see someone who's a franchise owner say, I want to make you a partner. I want to expand our business into another city or a neighboring territory, and off they grow together. And it's building that dream of business ownership. DSJ, who I can see is on this call, who heads up our franchise development, he used to run 1-800-GOT-JUNK and doubled the revenue in that brand and so many amazing things. He shared with me once a stat that he found that 66% of Americans dream of running their own business and they don't know where to start and they don't know how to do it and take that first step. And I feel that our mission to fire up people on franchising is that proven recipe that could get a lot of those 66% starting that dream for themselves.
Nice. Very well said. Let's shift gears to the books. First of all, WTF, we have snail mailed actually the book to all our consultants. Every consultant on this call should have gotten the book. Many of them I heard have already read it. Fantastic book. I read it on Audible the day it came out. Where did you get that idea?
So Roy H. Williams, the Wizard of Ads, he does all our radio creative, and he's based in Austin, Texas. And DSJ and others, we'd go visit him once a year at least to talk about our new campaigns. And 8 years in a row, he said, Brian, you got to write a book. Brian, you got to write a book. And I finally said, Roy, you've asked me for 8 years. The answer's always been no. It'll always be no. My ego does not need a book. I know a lot of entrepreneur friends who want to write a book to say, I'm an author, check that off. And I said, I don't need that. I said, I am a book buyer and I don't end up reading them. I'm so ADD. I can write, but I don't have the time. And he said, listen, Brian, everything you're listing there, you're making it about you. This is not about you. This is about everyone you can touch and inspire with the stories of what you all have created with 1-800-GOT-JUNK and O2E. And I said, you think there's really some good stories? He's like, Brian, these stories will inspire others to not make the same mistakes you made, to take some shortcuts. Lisa's read the book and she's nodding. Thank you. And I go, you know what? Okay. So he locked me in his wizard's tower, true story, for 10 hours, a couple of bottles of wine between us. And he just interviewed me. And that became the starting point for the manuscript. He said, I'll make it easy. And he said, this book will inspire. And we've sold 40,000 copies and growing. And he was right. So it made it easy when last year during the pandemic, he goes, Brian, time to write the second book. And we got together, and that's this one here. Lisa probably does not have that one because even I don't have, as the author, co-author, a real copy. This is actually WTF in a shell. This is a printed shell because Amazon, it just came out on April 5th and I haven't received my copy yet. And in a print on demand world, they actually don't send anyone a copy until your book hits the stand. So,
and when does it hit the stands?
So April 5th it came out. So I believe the Kindles are out there at 99 cents right now as we're trying just to get them in as many hands as possible. We actually lose money on that, but of course we want people to read it. We want people to inspire. Andrea says, what's the name of the book? So it's BYOB. So we love acronyms. This one is Build Your Own Business, Be Your Own Boss. And it was a fun book to write because what it does is it gives people I take people through a journey of my own 33 years and stories of people I met along the way. Fred DeLuca from Subway and a mentor of mine. And I think of yours at some point. Yeah, you got the picture. Here it comes.
Yeah,
right,
he's on there with you.
There's
Fred at the top.
Rest in peace. Incredible man. Then we've got Simon Sinek, who many people know. Simon Sinek, he spent a night on my couch before he was famous and helped me uncover my why, which he wrote the book Starts With Why. And my why is to inspire entrepreneurship and others, to inspire possibilities that you never know if you actually dream big things, they might actually happen. So we wrote this book to help give people either who have a business that they want to scale, some ideas on how to scale faster, but most importantly, people who have not yet started a business. How do you take the leap? And I explore, I think very fairly, the two big paths. Start with a blank sheet as I did and what all that entails. 8 years to $1 million. Start with the franchise and all that entails with someone like Paul Guy, who followed a proven recipe and a system, and he did $1 million in his first year. So I equate franchising to baking a cake. If you want to bake a cake, you go to Google, you find a 5-star recipe, you try it once, maybe twice, success. Most people don't decide to create and bake a cake from absolute scratch with no experience. But that's what I did with the business. And it's a fair path for someone that has that personality that wants to do that.
Well, Brian, it looks like Lisa's already bought the book she posted. So one more, she's ready for it. I got an advanced copy. DSJ kind of snuck me one under the covers of night. And here's a quote I got from it. How you start your business doesn't matter. That guy shocked me. I was like, whoa, okay. What's he got to say about that? What matters is that you have a fire burning inside you to build your own business or be your own boss. And then you went on to say, you just haven't taken the leap yet. I'd like to encourage you, this is Brian speaking, to give you a shot of confidence and present you with 2 equally awesome choices for starting your own business. And I want to give you a healthy little push too. Brian, you stated this briefly, but state it again. What are those 2 choices?
Well, it's the blank sheet, start from absolute scratch, or start with a proven recipe. Now, someone who I met recently, which this might sound like name dropping and it's not meant to be, there's a good story behind it, but Shaquille O'Neal, met him a year ago. He spoke at our franchise conference. I know he spoke at the IFA, and he gives me his cell phone. He goes, Brian, give me a call. We need to do something together. He goes, when you start a 4th brand, I want to be a part of it. I love the way you're building with your people, entrepreneurs and proven recipes. And so I got to learn from Shaq, which was cool, over phone calls and discussions, that he's built $500 million worth of wealth in franchising. And so one of the questions I asked Shaq is, why franchising? He goes, I come from sports. He goes, I didn't invent the game of basketball, but I know how to play it. And I've got all the passion and the leadership. He said, I know how to put the right people on the court, put them in the right seats, and make magic happen. And he said, franchising is the same way. I take someone else's proven recipe, I put in a leader, we put in a coach, and off they grow to build something without inventing anything from scratch. And I said, wow, Shaq, you've just made franchising cool. You know, it's an uphill battle to try and understand how to communicate to people why franchising is a very viable path. Paul Guy, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, has always said, I don't need to create anything from scratch. I'd rather build something faster with a proven recipe. And it's been cool.
So let's shift gears again. The franchisors on this call want to know how to attract and keep great people. Attract them, keep them. Yeah. You've earned some major awards. I mean, was it, I think, Newsweek, happiest place or best place to work in Canada? I mean, this isn't like you've won the award out of junk removal companies or out of franchisors. You won it out of every company in the country. How do you give us some secrets to how you did that?
Yeah, it's not secrets as much as it is a simple way, a simple philosophy to follow. The way people say, you know, how do you find the right people? And I always throw back, the only analogy I can think of is, how do you find friends? You know, when we interview people for our business, we take out a sheet of paper and a clipboard and we ask questions. So Red, have you ever done da, 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 da? Tell me how you did it. When you meet friends, you just start talking. You find out what interests someone. You find out a mutual common shared passion and you talk, and people are themselves versus an interview where everyone's nervous and I got to say all the right things. So our interviewing process, we call it the beer and barbecue recipe. Would you have a beer with that person? Find out what it takes to see if you've got something in common, to see if you'd have a beer. And the barbecue test is, how do they fit within a company picnic, a company barbecue? We're not looking for people to be just like us. We love diversity of opinions, of ideas. We want different styles, but it still has to just kind of fit and add to the whole momentum. So we're very careful in how we find people, and that's the secret. So we take our time. And I know that you were doing a session, or maybe you've already done, on the Great Resignation. That gets a lot of conversation. I don't like that word myself, and we choose to reframe it and call it the Great Progression. Someone doesn't have to resign. And people we interview that often have resigned to go somewhere else, it's because they weren't progressing. They didn't see opportunity. They didn't have a manager that believed in them. We're not perfect. I told you that earlier, but we work really, really hard at developing our people to be better people and to be better business owners, better entrepreneurs supporting our franchise owners. And so the secret for us has just been, find a way to have people achieve their own dreams. And we have a philosophy called, Can You Imagine? And I know you mentioned, you gave me sort of permission earlier on. You said there was another media hit that we might tell you about. So a couple of weeks ago, we accomplished a goal that was really exciting to us, that was in one of our visions, our painted picture. for where the business was going to grow and how we were going to get there. And one of the Can You Imagines was to be featured on the Ellen Show, Ellen DeGeneres. The reason being, she's just a magical human being, generous beyond belief, loves making people laugh and smile. And I was attracted to that. And I said, we're going to put it in our painted picture. We're going to make it happen. 15, 20 years ago, we set that as a goal, and we tried and failed. Couldn't make it happen, but we learned from that failure until a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks, we ended up on the show. I got to be on the show telling Ellen and her team that we were going to help build a Can You Imagine wall for one of their guests, a fellow named DW, who's based in DC, Blue High School. And Darrell, amazing human being, is a teacher. We said, we're going to come to DC and create a Can You Imagine wall for you and your school. We're going to help you uncover what are the big ideas in your world that kids have never been asked what matters to them. We want to teach people to dream and inspire. Back to Simon Sinek and helping me uncover my why. It's about imagining big possibilities and inspiring others to do that. And so we ended up on the Ellen Show, and it was surreal. I hardly remember it, but I get to, watch the clip over and over. And it was just because we can make a difference by uncovering what matters to people. So the last thing I'll say, and forgive me for the long answer, I'm passionate about people. You said, how do you find the right people? Once you've done the beer and barbecue test and you've got people, how do you retain them? You find out what matters to them. We say, take care of our people and they will take care of the customer. Take care of the customer and they will take care of the growth of your brand, your profits, your opportunity and reputation. You can't take care of your people without first understanding what they care about. What a perfect way to say, what can you imagine? You've got all these amazing franchise professionals on this call. Does everyone here know what matters to everyone? Can this community have their own sort of, how do we help support each other's dreams? Why are people here in franchising? What difference do they want to make? And imagine the momentum if we all help each other get bigger and better together.
Bren, you don't just share this, you live it. I work a lot with Adam and Jeremy on your Fran Dev team, Cameron, DSJ, the whole crew is fantastic. But it was very, very telling when COVID hit full on, punched us all in the face, world fell apart, and Adam and Jeremy got furloughed. They got laid off. Who knew if they were coming back? Who knew what the world had to hold in the future? And man, I love those guys. They're world-class Fran Dev reps, extremely good. And so I get contacted by Zors looking for people. I'm introducing them. You got to talk to Jeremy. Adam's awesome. And I reach out to Adam and Jeremy and they're like, nah, we're good. I'm like, bro, you got young families. You got to pay the bills. And they're like, yeah, I'm coming back to O2E because that's my home. I love them. They were so committed and so optimistic that it wasn't going to be long. We're coming right back. It really stuck with me.
You know what? They are world-class human beings. And if they weren't here, I'd be saying the same thing and just kind of probably talking longer about them. But the way that they handled being furloughed, and when we say it's all about people and we care, I believe that Adam and Jeremy knew we cared because I called them, others called them. We're sorry. This is the last thing we wanted to do. We're doing everything to keep in communication with you of when we can bring you back, if we can bring you back. And you're right, they didn't have to come back, but they see what we see and we're building something together. And so grateful that they're here. They've been here, and that's the real sign of a great human being in a business is they're there for the good times and the bad. Like they are working through whatever is going on and they're just like, we got this. And I'm so grateful. Yeah, thank you for that story.
It's true. Thank you. So when I was there in 2009, some things I still remember. You had this huddle that everybody got in. Do you still do the huddle as well as you mentioned the Can You Imagine wall? Do you still do? I think you had a painted picture as well. There was all sorts of cultural insights I took away from that trip.
Yeah, so we still do huddle. So an interesting thing is I'm a pretty positive, optimistic person and everything. And when we started doing huddle during the pandemic on Zoom, I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. There's no way this is going to last. We were taking a couple hundred people from a room, a stand-up, high energy room every single day. And now we're going into Zoom. And I was wrong. It's actually better. And even as we start going back to office, we're still going to keep it digital forever, because anyone working anywhere in the world can join into our culture. We have guests come all the time. I'm sure Adam and Jeremy can figure out a way to get anyone who's interested from this group to show up to a 7-minute huddle. But here's why it's better. You've got introverts and extroverts in a business. When we did our huddle in a big room, it was only the extroverts that put up their hand and had things to say. But now in a world with Zoom, the introverts are lighting up the chat and adding so much value. It used to be that in a room, you had one person, a different person each day running it on stage and asking questions and shout outs. And all you'd see was everyone else's backs. Well, now in Zoom, you see smiley, friendly faces. And so the energy, the enthusiasm, depending who runs Huddled, it's different people every single day. Some people produce it like it's a TV show. And it's just phenomenal to see. And it is our cultural connector on a daily basis. For those of you that might have a traditional sit down with the kids, dinner at the end of the day, how was your day at school? And your kids say fine, and you try and open them up and chat. This is our daily dinner together, our daily connector, 7 minutes of what's going well, what's not going so well. It's a great pulse into how our company is doing.
Nice. And it's a great way to start the day. You feel like you're starting the day with the family. And you shared the Can You Imagine wall. I saw that. What about the painted picture? Help us understand what that is.
Yeah, painted picture. So I was sitting at my parents' dock, 1998, September, a nice sunny summer day. And I was in a depression. I was in what I called a doom loop, a downward spiral. I had just joined the entrepreneur organization. $1 million in revenue is what you needed to join. I felt proud of my million, but then I started comparing myself to others, and people were doing 10 million and 100 million and had way more glamorous businesses than junk removal. And I thought, I'm having a hard go here. I didn't finish high school, didn't finish college. What am I going to do? And do I even have the right business? So I took out a sheet of paper, and it was a Jerry Maguire-ish type moment where I just started writing what pure possibility could look like. And I said we'd be in the top 30 metros in North America by the end of 2003, 5 years, even though we were only in one. I said we'd have clean, shiny trucks. We'd be the FedEx of junk removal. We'd have on-time service, upfront rates. I said we'd be on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So I took this painted picture and immediately went from a doom loop to goosebumps and just going, wow, this looks awesome. This is the picture from my head shared with others. I took the painted picture and I shared it. Now, nobody taught me this process. I just did this organically. And what was interesting, half-ish of the group said, Brian, you're smoking some hope dope here, dude. Like, you think you're going to get on Oprah? You think you're going to be 30 cities? Like, what? Come on. The other, and they ultimately left the company over the next few weeks or months. The other half said, wow, this is compelling. I don't know how we are going to get there, but we're going to get there. And those who stayed and recruited other people who saw what we saw, and we made it happen. I mean, top 30 metros, Oprah. We actually hit the top 30 metros 16 days before the deadline on the painted picture. Now, is that crystal balling the future? Kind of, because we shared our vision of what we saw. We shared our belief with it's kind of fun to do the impossible, and we set out to make it happen. So things like Ellen. I mean, you know, it's interesting. Ellen, I shared a story in my kickoff keynote. Ellen, when I met her the first time backstage and gave her WTF and told her that she was in it. And I said, I wrote you in this book. We wrote you in our painted picture. We said we'd be here one day. We didn't know how, but we're here. And I said, here's a book. I just wanted to give it to you. And I said, you're probably too busy to read it, I'm sure. She goes, no, I will read it, Brian. And I said, you will? She goes, my life has been this way. She goes, everything in my life has been planting seeds, especially big ideas when I've been stuck, and they've happened. She saw herself as the first female comedian to get called over to the couch on the Johnny Carson show after her monologue, which was that make it big moment. And she was within a year. So vision, can you imagine? It's huge. It's everything. If anyone wants to send me a note on social media, we'll get you. There's some articles that we've done on painted pictures, how to create them. I think every entrepreneur, And we would love your help, of course, in finding great entrepreneurs for Wow One Day and for Shackshine. But even when you place someone into another business, I would love to know that those entrepreneurs and other brands are starting with vision. Do they know why they're doing what they're doing and what that future is going to look like? It's the only way to get there.
Nice. Well said. Well, DSJ has given me the exact verbiage. He said it's Newsweek most loved workplaces. So well done there. And I watched the Ellen show, brother. You're too humble, but I'll share it. You donated $100,000 to that high school to help them not just create a wall, but do a lot more with changing lives in that community. And that community is struggling. So well done. We appreciate it again.
Thank you.
Here's one. So what are you excited about next? What in franchising? What's the next big thing for you?
You know what? It's funny. It's not one big thing. It's the whole thing. And the whole thing to me is 66% of people who want to start their own business and don't know where to start. If we can play a small role and small percentage of that in giving people a platform in which to have a place to call home, as you mentioned with Adam and Jeremy, they take such pride in the people they find because it does change lives. I mean, it really does. And I love what I do every single day, even the hard days, even during the pandemic, because we see the impact. When we had our big kickoff in Vegas, I mean, that was the thing we heard the most is this has changed my life. And I love that feeling. And we're aligned on, I know everyone's got their own business, their own reason for starting a business, whether it's growing something, creating, building a team of people, helping the community, making customers happy, making money. But it for whatever someone's reason, if we can play a small role in that dream, it feels awesome.
Brian, you and I talked about you're innovative in your franchise development efforts. Talked about different ways to attract franchisees. This may have been a year ago. Anything new on that scene? I mean, we talked about the guarantee idea. We talked about the financing ideas. I mean, anything new for, in the back pocket for Adam and Jeremy and Cameron and the team?
Yeah, DSJ and the team have created a really, really cool and exciting program. It's a little bit of bringing back something that worked well for us in the early days that we just lost. As we started to build momentum, somehow this lost, we lost the idea, is a franchise guarantee. So for Shackshine and Wow One Day, if a franchise owner comes in and of course follows the system and doesn't do at least $200,000 in their first year, they have the opportunity to walk away and have us fully refund all their franchise fees. Now, the communication behind that is, Red, if you bought a franchise and you couldn't do at least $200,000, you're not happy, we're not happy. Let's part ways and say, hey, we tried. And so it's a great way to have someone move on. Of course, they can stay. If someone hits 198 and they're like, next year, I got this, I'm going to figure it out. I mean, they can, but it's a good way to weed out people that can't do it, that aren't happy, that we wouldn't be happy with. And then financing, we realize there's a lot of people and we've got the size and scope now to be able to offer this. We're not a bank, but we get to act a little bit like a bank that might help people. Is our franchise owners come in, they don't, the first year, they don't have to make payments. We want them to put their cash into the startup process, which of course is, takes a bit of cash. But with franchise fees and all that sort of stuff, we say, listen, you don't pay anything for the first year. We finance it over the following 4 years of that 5-year agreement. And so month 13, they start making payments spread out. And it gives them a little bit of breathing room and comfort. And we say, listen, for you to hit that 200,000 number and beyond, we want you focused on investing in your business, not paying us. We can wait. And so I think those two things are a bit of a game changer in the sense that we've seen how it changed the game early days for 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and we've brought it back.
And that will be for all 3 brands?
It will not be for 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I believe. Give me a nod. Or is that correct, DSJ? Yeah.
You're more on the resale track there. You've taken over the North America, at least, with that already. So fantastic. Brian, we're wrapping up. We got a few minutes left. I'm going to hit you with some fun lightning round questions, but I would love to understand more about your influences, your heroes. We heard Fred DeLuca. We heard Dina Dwyer Owens. I could totally concur. Anybody else that's had a profound influence on you?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's not one person that I go, the whole package of that person's amazing. And fortunately, I think in my admitting I've got my weaknesses and my ADD and dropping out of school, I've gotten to know others in an open way and realize nobody's perfect. But what I love, one person was Greg Brophy, who started a business called Shred It. And I remember I reached out to him years and years ago, and I said, what's like the number one thing I need to know as I get into franchising? And he said, never, ever, ever, ever compromise on the quality of people that you bring into your organization. And I've taken that to heart. In the same way that it's all about people, find the right people, treat them right, I took it to the franchise level. And I said, we're going to be careful. And we've turned people away. And, one of my favorite stories, Tim Milner, Wow One Day Painting in Washington, D.C. and Virginia. We turned him away. We thought he was too young, didn't have the money, didn't have the experience. And he came back begging. He's like, I can do this. He said, what will it take? And we said, go work with the franchise in your area. Let him evaluate you. Maybe there's an opportunity that'll come out of this. And our franchise partner, Craig, called us from DC and said, if you do not make this guy a franchise partner, I am going to partner with him and put him in another territory because he's unbelievable. And he is unbelievable. And he proved to us that we almost made a mistake, but he fought for it and he's just killing it. He's a member of the entrepreneur organization and just lighting up the world as our youngest franchise owner in Wow One Day Painting.
Nice. We're getting so many compliments in the chat. Hey, Brian, what about, there was one question before the lightning round I wanted to make sure. Okay, you've got the wall. I'm sure people are curious. This is an inspiring wall. These are dreams. These are hopes. These are plans. Let's put something else out into the universe. What is one or two, three things next on that wall that you see accomplishing?
Yeah, 100 franchise partners in a year, getting back to that. We did it with 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and it's been a while since we've done it in O2E, but 100 franchise partners, because the more people that come in at once, we've got the infrastructure to train them and get them all started, but it just makes everybody better. They say rising tides float all boats. And the most magical moments in 1-800-GOT-JUNK were the years when we got on Oprah and we started just bringing in a ton of people all at once. They all acted as peer mentors. They inspired each other, the competitive nature of it. And it just lit up our brand in a hockey stick type of way.
That's a big one. Love it. Okay, ready to go? We're going to go fast here. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Phone, call, or email?
Email.
Email or text?
Email.
Favorite social media?
None.
Wow. While walking, music or podcast?
Nothing. Silence. Nature.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Rock or country?
Both.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Really?
Oh, sorry. What did you say? Mountains or beach?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My brain misfired there. Mountains for sure. Just came from the mountains. I love to ski.
Are you high tech or low tech?
High tech.
Big party or small gathering?
Both.
Favorite sport?
Skiing.
Work hard or play hard?
Both for sure together.
Vans or Converse?
Both. Got them both. Love them both.
I see you wearing Converse a lot, but I'm a van man. Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Car or truck?
Truck.
Blue or red?
I'm colorblind.
Oh, you weak. Amusement park or day at the beach?
Day at the beach.
Iced coffee or hot coffee?
Both. See, I got a lot of both. I just love my coffee. I'm like, it's treatment for ADD. Cheers.
Same here. Cheers. City or country?
City.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
But will you have a beer with your teammates? So,
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I could have said both, but I would
Yeah.
take 9 times out of 10, I would take some wine, red wine.
That's interesting.
Working alone
We'll see what
or
happens.
working in
But
a
yeah, there's
team.
definitely a need. No one's around. And I think, well, like
Someone needs to be on
one of the
mute.
things that they do.
Whoever's saying there's a need, no one's around. Thank you.
Sorry about that. And then
it's
working
all good.
alone or working in a team.
I need both. I need a balance.
Sweater or hoodie.
Hoodie,
Cookies or ice cream.
ice cream,
Early to rise or early or late to bed.
early to rise,
Really? Tacos or pizza.
tacos,
Singing or dancing.
neither,
Superman or Batman.
neither,
Best music decade.
the 80s.
Thank you. Money or fame.
People, neither.
Love you, Brian. Guys, O2E Brands, Brian Scudamore. Are you glad you stayed or what? This rocked. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very, very much. And honestly, it's all about people and inspiring entrepreneurship. So anything we can ever do together, anything I can do to help any of you, send me a note. Big fan of Red, big fan of what you all do, and super thankful. So thank you for today. And it was fun.